YouTube have stopped the comedian and broadcaster from making money through his content following rape, sexual assault and emotional abuse allegations. Brand, who has almost 6.6 million subscribers, earns an estimated £2,000 to £4,000 per video through advertising. However, YouTube now say that the alleged behaviour violates their creator responsibility policy. Now, Brand's most recent video saw him deny the allegations, which were made public hours later, and accused the media of a coordinated attack. Meanwhile, the BBC have removed some content featuring Brand from iPlayer and the BBC Sounds app ahead of a review into his time at the corporation. They say that the content now falls below public expectations. Brand's tour has also been postponed following the allegations. Does this all amount to being cancelled, Jemma?
It's an interesting word that I think perhaps gets used in a strange way. What I will say is nobody's cancelling him as a human being, and he can still go on YouTube and make those videos, but YouTube have made the decision that he can't monetise them at the moment. But actually, if this was to develop and became a trial and he's proven innocent, or even if there isn't a trial and it's decided that he was innocent, he could recoup all that money. So let's not worry about that too much, because the minute they let the button happen again, he can recoup from previous views. The other thing is interesting about freedom of speech. So Russell Brand is a free man. This hasn't gone to court. They are allegations, so he can walk around and say whatever he wants. But when you're broadcasters, when you are platforms, you have the responsibility, if you like, of deciding who you allow to amplify their views. So it's not about stopping speech, it's about whether you give someone the microphone, right? And at the moment, you know, these allegations are incredibly serious, and the sort of whole discourse around this, I think, has been very exhausting from the get-go. The sort of victim blaming, the sort of undermining what these women are saying, okay? And
well, they are still alleged victims.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But there are multiple women who are involved in an investigation, and I know there's been a lot of trial by media, and I understand that to a degree. But let's remember, in 2017, it was the work of two investigative journalists at the New York Times who finally were able to publish a piece about Harvey Weinstein. That led to the Me Too movement, and that ultimately triggered his ultimate downfall. So it's an interesting one. And there are so many arguments about why women don't feel that they can come forward at the time when they were whatever age, for so many reasons. You're talking about a very powerful public figure, etc. So I think we all need to be very, very careful, because the point is this might go to trial. The police are now looking into it, and we need to see what happens in the fullness of times. And I think if I was a broadcaster, yeah, I wouldn't want to be amplifying him at the moment.
Well, that's the interesting point, isn't it, Lynn? And actually, do you think these corporations have made the right decision here, both the BBC and YouTube, not deplatforming? Well, BBC has taken some content down that Brand features in, but certainly reducing his platform in some way or another.
The issue that I have with these sorts of things is that the decision is never consistent. It's never consistent across the board. Let's look at Cardi B, who generates loads of money on YouTube. She releases tracks and videos all the time. And she has admittedly said, which the media has covered, I drugged men to be able to rob them. She has said this, Cardi B herself. Yet we still are able to watch her things on YouTube as well as it being monetized. If we look at the BBC having a documentary for rappers like Digga D, who continuously goes on social media to say that he does certain crimes and things of that nature, which is massively wrong, but those things are still there. So if they were to take an approach of being consistent across the board with people, I would understand, but they're not. And we have to ask why they're not being consistent.
Well, I'm going to ask you whether there is a difference between someone admitting a crime and owning up to it and using their platform to do that, which Cardi B seems to have done, and someone who's being accused of a crime that they deny, and we're still trying to get to the bottom of what actually happened.
Well, that makes it worse then, because if someone is denying it, it has not gone to trial, you know, there is no, in the documentary, there are ladies at the moment on Twitter that have said that they were approached and they actually had, and I'm in no way supporting Russell Brand. I actually personally don't like him as a character from what I know. However, they didn't want their stories about, well, we had a good experience with Russell Brand.
But
So there's not a balance there. So my thing is, I think it's worse when there's actually no conviction, no admittance of guilt, and they're now stopping him from making money. But there are multiple.
If I may interject, I find that worrying, okay, because we all know, and Russell Brand, by his own admission, was a very, very promiscuous man who's clearly slept with hundreds, God knows how many women. But just because some say we didn't rape me, like that is like somebody saying Fred West didn't murder me. I mean, and previously on this show in the papers, it all kicked off. I was watching it and I was very aghast when the gentleman just said it was just a minor sort of sexual assault or something.
That is not proper. That is not proper in investigative journalism when you only look at one side. You need to look at both sides. Now, for whatever reason, the documentary had decided to only look at the alleged victim sides. Fair enough. But going back to your question,
I think that's ludicrous.
Why is it ludicrous? You should only hear one side.
It's not about
when is that ever a good thing?
Hold on, Lin. It's not about sides. It's about one attack is too many. So we
don't know if it was attacked. We don't know.
No, we don't. But why would they be?
Was.
That's just bizarre. What they're talking to is women who are accusing. Okay. Of course we know there's loads of people that he slept with that he didn't do anything. 100% we know that he hasn't raped or sexually assaulted every person he's ever met, and we don't know about these people.
But let's talk more about the topic.
I think
of
it's
the
important
money.
to hear what Russell Brand has to say, and Russell Brand denies any wrongdoing and says that all of his relationships were consensual. He also says that he suspects that the allegations are part of a coordinated attack against him. It's just important to put that forward too. Ashley from Somerset, what is your thoughts on this? Do you think these organisations are right to, and I'm going to use the word cancelled, it's just an easier way of describing it, to cancel Russell Brand?
Good morning. I agree. I think the Dispatches programme was very one-sided, and also the public aren't trial and jury, and nor is the papers, and nor is obviously people have accused him of these incidents, and it's making out on that documentary like it was just a one-night thing or like a couple of days of seeing him. The lady in Los Angeles, they were actually in a relationship for 3 months, and on the text messages, people are saying rape. Rape is a very strong word, and that is not what the text messages say if you read it in full. What Dispatches shows and what the actual text messages are is two different things. It says he didn't want to use protection, and that's what she was saying no to.
Okay,
but everyone said it's rape, and that's really bad. That's like tarnishing and taking.
No, not everybody is saying that. Lady is saying it. So we have one word.
Yeah, but she was with him for 6 months.
Yes, and she said that. She said that, and rape can happen within a relationship. Yes, absolutely can.
It doesn't say that in the text message, though.
No, it doesn't. He didn't write. Absolutely not. But she is saying that, and he is denying. So, while we don't know, how can you undermine that lady's testimony without waiting to see?
Ashley,
because she did go to a rape crisis centre.
How many years? That was back in 2012. Basically, he does. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do watch his thing, and he does talk about a lot of stuff that is going on that the mainstream doesn't talk about. Yeah. Now, also, I think Channel 4 and BBC, they knew he was a drug addict, and they had him on air. Now, that's wrong. Why would you have a sex addict and a heroin addict when you send them to rehab? Because that's what happens. Yeah. They've got a massive responsibility. They were aware of his character.
Actually, they're part of this. Nothing. Okay, Ashley,
but now the media, when they put him on a pedestal, now the media want to completely.
Ashley, can I ask you a question?
Him, and I don't think that's right.
First of all, talking about the BBC and Channel 4, they are looking into this, investigating it now. So you may have a point, and hopefully they will take responsibility for this.
They gave statements,
Ashley,
and they're blaming each other.
Ashley,
no one's taking responsibility.
Thank you, Ashley, for your call. We'll let you go. James from Glamorgan, what's your thoughts on this? Ashley clearly thinks that it's trial by media, and she may have a point.
Stop. I totally agree with what Ashley's just said on her point. This is nothing more than a media witch hunt through Rupert Murdoch, through his media outlets, through Talk TV, through Times Radio, through the Times, through all the paper, through the public-funded BBC and Channel 4. This is nothing more than a witch hunt to silence a man that has said things that the society, the elites, don't like.
Quite a grand step, that, James.
You can really see why women don't come forward, generally
No, because
speaking.
of idiots like you. That's why.
Oh, James,
Right.
okay, we'll let you go. That's just not on. Two people there sort of calling in support of Brand, which suggests he has a huge...
He does. He has a very big cult following. And it
quite a
just really
passionate
disturbs
following.
me that if somebody I greatly admired and really agreed with their politics and their worldview, if these kinds of allegations came out, I would probably shut up and
But
wait and see.
I think we're missing. Can we go back to what the initial conversation was with regards to the demonetisation of his YouTube? I understand that these things are going on, but we need to look at there is inconsistencies. Many people are actually even in prison and they are still allowed to make money from their YouTube channels.
Okay,
Why are they doing that to Russell
But
Brand?
then if they are in prison,
Yes.
they are being punished for a crime that they have been convicted of. So there has been an ownership there. There has been...
Not always. Many don't actually admit guilt.
Okay, but there has been a punishment there. And so it's a sort of open book in that way. When it comes to Russell Brand, no one knows what happened. So you may think
So they should wait.
So you think that the companies should wait?
They should
but it's
wait
bringing them
instead-
into disrepute potentially now.
Like I said, there are many channels on YouTube that bring the company into disrepute, but nothing ever happens to them.
So why do you think that they've picked on Russell Brand, if that's what you think?
I don't like to assume things. I just think that it's extremely inconsistent, and I don't think that that's right.
It's in the same way that if you or I did something that the Jeremy Vine show found that they didn't like it went against codes of conduct that they agree with, they wouldn't book us anymore.
But I
It's
would
that
also
simple.
think that the Jeremy Vine show would be consistent with that. If, say, for example, you'd said something ludicrous on air and I said something similar to that, then they would both not have us on anymore. They wouldn't just not
make
have
sure
you.
that doesn't happen. Amy from London, you're up next. What do you think? Have these companies been right to sort of deplatform Russell Brand or at least take away his funding?
Good morning. Yeah, absolutely, I do. What I actually think is that it should have been done a long time ago. You know I'm going to kind of stray a bit, but going, back to the way this guy performs on stage and the way he treats women is so degrading. How he's allowed to do that. I've seen footage of him touching up female members, and how has he been allowed? And I think the channels have a lot to answer for. So I do agree with both your panelists, actually. I agree with Lin that it's...
I'm just going to stop you there because you mentioned footage of him touching people up. I haven't seen any footage of that. I know what you mean about the context of his comedy. It was quite male chauvinistic. It was, but it was in Dispatches.
Yeah, in the Dispatches show.
But I suppose then we are judging history and what we accepted as comedy by current standards, and I'm not sure that's the way to judge him.
I think one interesting part of this whole thing is that it is historic. It's going back to the early noughties, and what it's reminded me is how horrible it was really for young women at that time.
Don't you think
with the
we
nuts
should look
and
at
loaded,
everyone
this
then?
is just
like,
an
Amy, can I just
interesting
ask,
point.
because she's still on the phone, Amy, can I just ask quickly, if you believe that he demeans women, then would you say that we should have a look at multiple rock stars and so many different public figures of the 90s? Maybe we should remove all of them because many built their platforms, especially in the music industry, entertainment industry, where they were degrading women, on stage even. What do you think, Amy?
That is a good point. Obviously, I'm just referring to Russell now from the way that he's been conducting himself. It's really appalling. And but I do also have to say with what Jemma said that women do need to be listened to. My attacker got away with it a few years ago. Went to court. He was found not guilty, and this happens so much. And I do agree that.
Amy, I'm so sorry to hear what happened to you. Never okay. And do you know what the really horrible thing is? That you were one of the lucky ones that actually got to take it to court because the charge rates are so fractionally small. I think it's less than 2% of what the police hear. So I'm really sorry for your experience. I agree. I think women need to talk up more. Obviously, these are alleged crimes and we don't know what happened, but it does look like he is losing the respect, or he's losing his platforms, and he is losing his ability to do what he does normally.